शुभं करोति कल्याणं आरोग्यं धनसम्पदा शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योति नमोऽस्तुते।
A very good evening to one and all. On behalf of Center of Resource Development for Educators, I, Mrs. Uma Mahesh, welcome you all to our Tuesday webinars. Before we begin with our session, a brief about Center of Resource Development for Educators. Center of Resource Development for Educators is the initiative of educators Dr. Suresh Nair and Mrs. Deepa Desai. President of Center of Resource Development for Educators, Dr. Suresh Nair, a state teacher awardee, joined Vivek Vidyalaya and Junior College in the year 2006 after serving for KC College about 18 years as a professor of physics. His visionary endeavor in the field of education paved the way to fetch him an array of accolades. He is a co-author of physics textbooks for junior colleges and MHT CET for engineering entrance examination. Mrs. Deepa Desai, Secretary of CRDE. Mrs. Deepa Desai has been in the field of education for the last 37 years and is a recipient of many awards for her work. Former principal of Arya Vidya Mandir Juhu and ICSE board. The founder principal of Mahapragya Public School Kalba Devi, a CBSE board in South Mumbai, and former head of IES Manik Vidya Mandir. She is a woman of many talents. Her rich experience as an educationist also made her an innovative and knowledgeable trainer for the CBSE and Sri Kelvani Mandal's group of schools in Sherpur, Dhule. Center of Resource Development for Educators is a platform where teachers and educators are manured to excellent mentor the student community through local and international mentorship. CRDE offers opportunity to experiment and implement ideas, innovations, and collaboration to achieve performance and continuous professional excellence. CRDE is where confluence of like-minded individuals share and imbibe knowledge, experience through interaction, deliberation, and international exposure. Today evening, we have an eminent personality, Lata Nayak ma'am, principal of Rotary Sanskar Dham Academy for children with special needs. She was honored to top the B.Ed for the deaf and earned M.Ed for hearing impaired from USA on a Rotary scholarship. Ms. Lata Nayak was felicitated by Honorable President Shri V.V. Giri as a President Guide and also Best Teachers Award from Honorable President Pratibha Patil in 2006. She was awarded the Best Individual Working for Disability in 2012. EGN Inspiring Education Hero Award in 2023. Nation Builder Award from Rotary in December 2023. Also, Women Achiever Award on Women's Day 2024. As a young and compassionate adolescent, Lata Nayak ma'am had deep commitment of social service. She started a school with 20 students, which is now a full-fledged academy with more than 100 students, not only with hearing disability, but also multiple handicaps like mentally challenged, spastic, etc., taking care of their all-round growth so that they can withstand and face competitive world on their own. Along with academics, Lata ma'am has introduced physical education through sports like Malkham, karate, go-karting, educational excursions, annual gatherings, food festivals, dance, drama, swimming, GK competitions, and learning of Bhagavad Gita, thus heading towards an all-round development. Of course, it has not been a cakewalk for Latha with a mission like this, but she forged ahead resolutely with passion and commitment, as these children are her obsession and her first concern now and always. Some of the students have been integrated into regular schools and colleges. Children who cannot be placed in regular schools, main school, are trained for SSC, HSC, and graduation examination privately, along with support from Tech Mahindra Foundation. Latha Nayak started vocational course for disabled students about 18 to 35 years of age. Some other students are sent for National Institute of Open Schooling. 3 of our students qualified for Gallaudet University, US for higher education. Many of our students have won trophies and medals in different arenas like sports, dance, and drama at state and national level. Many of our alumni have been employed. One of our goals is to make the institution self-sufficient and the disabled independent, which is yet another milestone to be crossed. Latha ma'am joined hands with 𝐷𝐸𝐿 and trained multiple disabled students to work at 𝐷𝐸𝐿, opened at the Mumbai International Airport at arrival. Indeed, it's a proud privilege to have you, ma'am, today, who will be presenting to us the topic, Disability and its Challenges for Students, Teachers, and Parents. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Lot of introduction, I don't think. And good evening to everyone. It's really nice to be here and to talk to you all. Now, my today's topic is on disability and its challenges, right? Now, first and foremost, I would like everyone to understand first what is disability. Now, when we talk of disability, we always see, oh, and we start labeling or we naming it that, oh, this child can't do, this person can't do, he is like this. But the real understanding of disability is that what is the condition which has affected the person, his mind, and what are the impact it has, the disability, on the activities which he's going to work on. Or is a child or a person able to interact? So we find disability affects, it can be physical, mental, or sensory. Now, these can happen to the child during birth, much before. He can be hereditary, carried on in generation through the family, or it could also be due to accident, injuries, or major health issues happening in his life. Now, if we go to see, disabilities were very few earlier as per the Persons with Disability Act of 1995. But when the Right to Education Act came and the PWD Act of 2016 came, they have included in all about 21 disabilities. Now, I will just show you a picture and the name of these disabilities, beginning with blindness, low vision, hearing impairment, locomotor disability. We have the muscular dystrophy, learning disabilities, speech and language impairment, acid attack victims, leprosy cured persons, dwarfism, intellectual disability, and mental illness. The latest recent are autism spectrum disorder. There is cerebral palsy and neurological conditions, specific learning disability with children, multiple sclerosis, multiple disability, thalassemia, hemophilia, sickle cell disease, multiple disabilities, and Parkinson's disease. These are the 21 disabilities we find under PWD Act. Of all these, major ones which really come for education or which needs support are blindness. You have low vision children, you get children with hearing impairment, children with locomotor disability. Then we also have muscular dystrophy, learning disabilities, children with learning disabilities. Some children can hear but have the speech and language impairment. Then we have dwarfism, a lot of them, intellectual disability, and children with multiple disability and autism spectrum disorder. So these are the children which we find mainly in schools attached to us. Now, for all this, if we see the Right to Education Act, as we all know, every child must get education. And the PWD Act of 2016 puts a lot of emphasis on children with disability also into the right to education and getting education, whereby we go into and call it the inclusive education. And I think we all are aware of this inclusive education happening. Now, I would like here to specify, when we talk of inclusion, all these are policies, very nice policies, but where is our implementation? That is where we find the major issues coming and action point. We have a lot of seminars, we have conferences where we do research, we present papers. Everything is said, but still there we are falling back. The lacunae is in implementation of the Act as well as the inclusive education. When we talk of inclusion, we find that students are included into the regular program. But there are a lot of challenges faced by the teachers. Now here you can see, I have just put major 3 points. When we talk of inclusion, a regular school classrooms sizes are bigger, and hence the teachers do face difficulty in these classes. Now, when we find that children are 40, 50, now we all know as educators that in none class you will find children at the same level, even in the regular schools, or you take off the special schools. Special school, they had only 8 children, but all the 8 are at different levels at times. Similarly, it happens with regular. All children are never at the same level. Some are quick in learning, some are a little slower, and some require about 2 to 3 to 4 repetitions to understand it. And that is where we see in a classroom situation. Now there are lack of resources. Very, very little resources are available when there are children with disabilities. Now my observation is, I think whether it is a hearing child or whether it is a child with disability, a teacher should have good observation of her students. How quick the child is in learning, what are his difficulties. And in inclusion, if a child with disability has come, then I think the children, the teachers and the authority in that school should have a background of what type of disability it is, what are the needs of the child, and then work accordingly. Now, as teachers, we are trained, but there are several gaps in it. Like one example, I am a special educator. I am trained for the deaf. There are some others who are trained for the intellectual disabled. Some trained for low vision or the blind. Some are trained under cerebral palsy. These are all the special educators. Now, when we, in a regular school, when we take one special educator with any one of this special education, but when we have a child with different disability, can we cater to it? Is a big question. And this is what my realization is started when we talk of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Even with 1 year training, we find it difficult to understand children. Then with Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, where we train teachers for three months, and then we make them work in an inclusive program. These difficulties really arise, and we find that the challenges of the teachers start there. They have a disabled child in the class, but they are unaware of the needs of the child. They try their best to do, and you find that the child is not coping up with the regular school program, with the regular school curriculum. And I think many of you all must have faced these challenges. Another thing is there, if we get children with disability, the teachers should be aware, like what are the resources, what are the concessions available to these disabled children. Like maths, which we have general maths or the higher maths. Now for the children with disability, they can go for arithmetic, which is for 7th grade. They can take a second language option, and they can be given subjects like experience subjects, work experience subjects, like your milk and milk product or cookery is there. And such things do happen. But sometimes what happens in inclusion, there is no sensitization work done in the regular schools once the child with disability is admitted, or there is no such thing as teamwork. You know, if we go abroad, inclusion is superb happening there because they have a lovely team, you know. They have a doctor, they have a psychologist, they have an extra counselor, they have a special educator catering to that special ed which is required for the student. Plus, a lot of resources are made available to the child in the form of worksheets. There is adaptation done for that child. Then, if the child has real difficulty in reading, like you all must be knowing about learning disabled. Now, remedial teaching is there. Very much more important than the remedial teaching is when the child is dyslexic and has difficulty in reading, he is unable to focus on a given straight line. So what as a teacher we can help him and do. If a child comes with autism, I can understand the challenges faced by the teacher. It is tremendous, very difficult. And at that time, I think a shadow teacher along with a child with autism is required, very, very, very necessary. Now, let's go to challenges faced by the students. I'm not going in too detail because it's a lot bigger topic to be discussed by the challenges also. Now, challenges for the students are, if a child comes with dystrophy, muscular dystrophy, I have seen these children all, or child with cerebral palsy, or some locomotor disability, they have accessibility problem. Sometimes the classrooms are on the first floor, second floor, third floor. There are no ramps there, or some of the schools do not have accessibility to lift. So how will this child be able to go? So accessibility is a big issue. Then there is always the social stigma. These children or their parents, they have this feeling, no, I will be not liked by my peer. I will not be accepted. And with the social stigma, what happens is they start losing their confidence. Instead of building up the confidence, they start having a low social confidence with them. And hence they start deteriorating. And if they do not get the peer help, they deteriorate slowly. And this, the slowness with the children, you find it in the long term, towards the 6 month or by 8 month, you find where the child was good, but is deteriorating. Then there is less support from other parents, or there is sometimes less support from the teacher because of having poor understanding or is unaware of that type of disability. And that is where all the problem. And these challenges, in the first stage, if we do not cater to it, the challenges go on increasing, both for teachers as well as for students. Now here I would like to state one thing. We find that these students, when they are into the regular school program, or even if they are in special schools, they have not got the accessibility, they have not got the resources, or they have not got support. And we find that their concepts are not clear at all. But when the child with disability is there, I still do not understand why are these children just given promotion and sent to the next class. I had a discussion with educators long back, even at the Mantralaya, I've had this discussion. If children are not ready for the next class, why are they just pushed up? Because I had heard from many schools that we are not allowed to fail children. But then I said, if we are not allowed to fail, but isn't it our responsibility as teachers to see if the child is really ready, or at least have some extra coaching for them so that they are made ready for the next class? And I feel really sorry, see, these children are pushed from one class to the other to the next. And it's not only children with disability. I found some of the hearing children also. They are poor in grasping. There is a lot of gap in them understanding. And these children are just going from one class to the next. And when they come to the 9th grade, and then we say we are sorry. Here, when we get such children, I'll tell you, I really feel very, very sad. And sometimes I've really cried because the children are not even able to read what was being taught even in the first grade. Simple words and vocabulary words, they are unknown to them. So the concept clearance is way out. Now, the parents' support, we find. Now, you see these challenges faced by parents. But before going to the challenges faced, I'm sure most of you as teachers must have faced parents, whether they are hearing or they're disabled. There are some parents who are too overprotective with our children, with their children. And the other side, the parents are, they say we are illiterate, so we don't know what to do with the children, and they depend on the tuition teachers and the tuition classes, where I've seen 50-50 students at one time. The teacher is catering from different standards. And in the end, the child has learned nothing. So there you find the overprotective, not protective, and parents who are least bothered about what and which class the child is. Now, this is what they face. It's like they see other disabled children are gone into inclusion. I must also send my children, and we can afford, so I put them into inclusion. But is my child really going to learn something or not? Or the best part, what the parents feel is to send them for NIS, which is the easiest outcome. Now, when they go for NIS, who writes the exam? Parents don't see to it. They get a writer, the writer does the exams. And when these children come with 10th grade NIS certification, or they come with the 12th grade NIS certification, and then they say, ma'am, my child has passed 12th standard, so you need not worry, he knows everything. But very, very sorry to tell you all, when these children come to us and we face this problem, the child has really learned nothing. Then how do we make them independent in their life? How do we make them financially stable? Which is very, very difficult. Now, sometimes we train children, they are very well trained and they are ready for inclusion. But the special school teachers and parents find it difficult because we cannot afford to pay the donations made by the schools. So we bring them back to our school. Sorry, the parents have the financial strain. They can't afford to pay the huge donation in regular schools. Another thing we find is the emotional support. Some of the parents always wait for support and are not willing to put in efforts. But there are some who are willing to work hard, and there they need some kind of emotional support. So when the parents get all this, then they are willing to work with their children. Now I'll set you one example of these parents who had come to us after inclusion. They failed in special schools, and we decided that yes, we will train them. And we have taken all these children who are dropouts from special schools, from 2 schools, 3 schools, maybe 4 schools, or they have dropouts of inclusion. And now the latest one, what we have found, we are getting children are children with autism because of using mobiles from a very young age. And the second one is, in inclusion are coming children who have been done with cochlear implant, and they are failures of cochlear implant after being included in the education because parents fail to take them for the necessary requirements which are there for the resources. And then when they come back to a special school, we find these children are back in everything because they lack communication skills, they lack their confidence is not there, they are not able to participate in any activities. They feel, no, I will not know, I will not. And hence, always I tell, either for parents, for teachers, or the school educators, whoever are catering to these children, there should be very, very thorough observation of these children with disabilities. Their school classrooms, the teachers, as well as the students and the parents, we should have sensitization program and an excellent team to be formed so that these children with disabilities are catered properly. And we find that even with hearing children, so many of them fall under learning disability because from the baseline, they have not been paid attention to. And then having an excellent teamwork, plus start working in collaboration. I think there is no problem if you work in collaboration and take the support of special schools. I think then these children with disability or even the hearing children having minor problems or which develop later on and goes into a major problem can be tackled very well. So you find challenges are there by students, there are challenges faced by parents, and there are also challenges faced by teachers. And in teachers, I can understand when the classes are large and if a child comes with disability, how difficult it is for the teacher. And if she does not have and is not aware of that kind of disability of the child, then it will be really difficult, both student and the teachers. And parents also feel that emotional support they receive from the regular school teachers sometimes is not proper. And that is where they fail to give support to their child when it reaches home. And then they depend on the tuition teacher who is not aware of what is happening in the school. And then the loser is finally the child, the student, either with disability or with the hearing. Thank you. And there is a lot to be told, but I think this much to understand about the inclusion and about the students and the understanding of these problems faced by the disabled children.
Anybody has any queries?
Please, I'll be very happy to answer your questions, you know. Now the question is, please explain the link between mobile usage in young age and autism. Now we have, I'm very sorry to tell you, but we have more than 20 cases in these last 4 months. Children from the age of 8 months were more on the mobile. And continuously the mothers would feel it is better to keep the child busy and let him be on the mobile. And now by the age of 1 and 2, they have started getting fits. The waves of the mobile have caused problems. Now, there were children who were a little older. The child who was really able to concentrate, focus on all his studies in the classroom was unable to do. So we had sent him for testing at Nayak hospital. And the doctors then got in touch with me and they said, Lataji, first, please see to this and tell the parents, stop the usage of using mobiles. These mobiles are causing major problems and it's bringing them more closer because they are not able to focus. So like a child with autism, they are deteriorating in their speech. And we have such children now, you know, as examples. So that is what we realize. The usage of mobile is troubling these children. The second one is, how can teachers identify?
No.
No.
You were talking about some cochlear implant. If you can please break about.
Yeah, cochlear implant is a kind of surgery done behind the ear on your mastoid. Okay. Now, doing this, most of the children do benefit from it and are, after the training given to them, these children are able to speak and are able to do the regular studies and other things. But some of the children's cochlear implant fails, is that the children are not able to hear and are not able to speak. Now, one thing for everybody must understand, hearing impairment is when the child is not able to hear, he is not able to speak. And because he is not able to speak, his conversational skills are cut off. And in a deaf school, we build up those. Now, if a child is with cochlear implant and his implant is successful, the child can speak functions like the regular child in his studies. But if it fails, he has difficulty. And that is why I always say when the child is integrated, there has to be observation. The teacher who is concerned must be given this knowledge of his disability. It's only then that the child and the teacher both can function very well.
How can teachers identify?
Undiagnosed.
Next question is, how can teachers identify undiagnostic learning disabilities in students?
Now see, we find when the child is in the class, I know when the class is big, the teacher cannot go from child to child and check on what the child is writing, what the child is able to do. But just have an observation, good observation of the students. The teacher should know who is a quick in writing, how is the writing pattern. And sometimes when the teachers get the books for correction, the teachers can understand when the child is not writing in a straight line, he is mixing up these sentences, he's not able to copy properly from the blackboard, or does reversal writing in D, in B, in P. These are the things, you know, the teacher should understand, and she should then send him for testing whether my child has this learning disability of reversals, or not able to read properly in a line, is not able to focus properly. These are the things which the teacher should see.
Next question is from Pascal Fernandez. If not normal school,
Or
non-NIOS, then what is the way ahead where the child will get necessary care training? Please elaborate.
Now see, I'm not saying not to send for NIOS. My saying is, if the child can do well, observe the child first properly. What are his needs? Is the child able to do his studies? Is the child able to focus on his work? Or is he excellent in his sports? Whatever. See, no child is born dud. Look into what his ability is. That is why I always say, the word disability, more than disability, it is the ability of this child. And if you look from that ability point, you will know and observe that the child is able to do certain things. Now, I'll give you one example. There was a child who came to me at the age of 14, a boy. Because his hearing was good, he was put in a regular school. At the regular school, the teachers were unaware that the child is not understanding my instructions, or he was not able to do anything. So he was promoted from standard 1st, and that way he reached up to standard 5th. One day the parent realized, oh, this child is not understanding even my own mother tongue now. Why is it so? So they took him to a special school. Now, in a special school, he was tested and diagnosed that this child is intellectual disabled and was put into that school. Now, seeing the children with intellectual disability, their behavior, he was frustrated. He started throwing tantrums and was getting irritated and anger. So he started getting angry with the teachers, with the parents, all his friends around. And then he was brought to us in our school. And then before bringing to our school, he had a tag on him that he is intellectual disabled. So the child refused to do anything. So when he came to us, I said, let us watch him, observe him. And we observed that the child was excellent in sports. But to bring him back to studies, we had to tap him his sports activity. So what we did is, we put him into different sports that we had activity. And we found he was excellent in cricket, in batting, bowling. And we put more emphasis on that. We started having matches for him and we made him the captain. That one point we saw his confidence coming up. He reduced his anger. And then I told him, now see, you are very good in sports. We will bring you forward in sports. At the same time, you start doing your studies. We encouraged him to read little small sentences, words. And today I'm happy to tell you, at the age of 22, he completed his 12th. He's working now. He has a family, he's married. And now he says, I know I troubled everybody. I said, good, you realized it. But see, observation helped me to understand him. And my teamwork of different people helped us to understand what the child's ability was. And we could put him into his, and he is now on his own feet and independent child now.
One more question.
So NIS is no, when I say is, you let them, teach them NIS, but see that your child is taught and not just made to sit and appear for the NIS with the help of a writer. Don't make the writer write. Another one example I'll give you. I used to always tell my grandson, please go and do the writing. You should help people. First paper he wrote, he said, don't send me to be a writer because student does not know how can I be a writer there. That means I have to study to write his paper is wrong. And I think that we as teachers should understand. Make the child really independent, build up his skills so that the child can do his. Let him appear for one paper. It's not necessary to appear for all. I'm not saying totally no. You do NIS, but make the child work at it. That's more important.
One more question by Archana Singh. Also in regular schools, even though if we identify children with disability, please suggest some ways to find the strategies to support children during regular school hours.
Yeah, during school hours, if you know that you have child with disability, that is why I said, and I use the word collaboration. And the teachers should understand what type of disability it is. So, it helps then. If you know the child has this disability, you approach, and I'm always there. We are always open. You all can anytime call me, or Sadhna ji is here. She's also there now working with me. She has understood a lot of, at first she was like, hey, why do you do all this? Now she knows. Now you need to be more patient and you have to work with these children. And that is how when we integrate them into inclusive, we give them support. And Archana ji, you are most welcome. You can bring these child, whatever his problem is, we can help you with his problem and solve it. But in your school, you should also have a counselor or a special educator understanding the need of that child during school hours. It so happens because our class is big, the child with disability is sitting. We talk facing the backboard, the child who's got disability does not understand the lip movement, misses on the instructions, and that is where the challenges increases for the child. And that is where we have to understand.
No more questions.
Any more questions?
No.
Ma'am,
But as an educator, I was asking How can I give my input?
Now, can I just get an understanding what is the child's disability? Then I can help you. Archana ji, if I know what is the child's disability?
General she was asking.
No specific.
I'm just asking.
Okay. So
Dr.
you
ma'am.
see, now I'll give you that example. If you have a disabled deaf child, then you have to see that you can make him sit in the front row, whereby he can see the face of the speaker. See that the light falls on the speaker's face so that the child is able to read it. If the child is with cochlear implant, he will be able to hear. But as a speaker, you as an educator, reduce your rate of speech. Go a little slower, not softer, but a little slower, so that the child, if he has deafness, will understand. If you have a child with blindness, see, the child can hear. And because the blind child can hear, he is able to speak. Now, for a child with blindness, you can make recordings for him of what the child has missed out and give it to him. That becomes a resource for him. If a child is with autism, have a shadow teacher in the class so that the shadow teacher is seeing what the child with autism is doing. And if he faces difficulty, is there where the emotional support of the teacher goes to the child. Another very important, what I feel is, once a week at least have a good communication with the parent of that child with disability or the child facing some challenge. And that will help to upgrade the child as well as your own. You will also be more confident in facing more challenges that come.
Address and phone number.
No.
Address and phone number I can put in the group
Chat. We have put.
Already I have put the name of the institution and the Goregaon West. That is enough to reach the institution.
Yes.
If you want, we can give you the number also.
Phone number I can
Phone
give.
number also we can give.
Ma'am, Lata ma'am, can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, ma'am? Thank you. You have really enlightened all of us on various aspects. I have a small query, ma'am.
Yes.
Now, not necessarily the child is deaf, not necessarily the child has any other issues, but the child could have learning disabilities in the form of dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and this.
Yes.
Now, at pre-primary level, many a times, even if there is a reversal, can we say that the child is having a problem, or do in the long years when he comes to class 1 and 2, this reversals get, if he is not having any difficulty, no longer are there reversals? Because at a very young age, there is a possibility of the child misunderstanding and writing reversals. So what is the actual age?
See, now there is no actual age. Some children have difficulty from the beginning. Now, what you need to do is keep a good observation on that child. When you know he is doing this, is he doing first time, or is he continuously doing the same problem? That is a concern there. And from there, you start doing your little remedial. Have those letters reverse, put it reverse and tell him to read. Again, reverse it. Now see what is it? It is a D. Turn it back. Oh, it is a B. Make him move his fingers and see if it is reduced. If it is reduced, then he will not have those problems.
Okay.
You could do those simple things in the initial stage. But by first standard, when they are made to copy from the blackboard, usually the teachers start understanding the problems.
Okay. Normally, what is the correct age for testing?
For testing.
The child.
Now see, some children are more dysgraphia, they are more dyslexia, and they are more dyscalculia. That sometimes by the age of 7 also, teachers start understanding. Then you can do a little bit of remedial work and try and see if it is getting out. If not, then you can get him tested. But best testing is by the 2nd or 4th grade. You really understand how much is this severe is the problem.
Okay.
Because even if a child is deaf also, they can be dyslexic dysgraphia. We do have that also.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank
most welcome. Most
Thank
welcome.
you.
And you all can anytime call me. And if you have any of these things, I work closely with Nayak Hospital, Dr. Iyer also. Because nowadays, last 3 months, this is very, very saddening. But we are getting a lot of children, who have used mobiles and have become victims of all this. So we are sending to them. They are, and it's very sad that they are given medication, and because of that, then the child keeps sleeping, is more, and activities are becoming slower for those children. So I always advise, and everybody, please keep your child away from mobiles.
Ma'am, it's not a question, it's not a query, but I would like to share something which I observed when I had been to a restaurant to have lunch. I observed there was a family and the child must have been hardly 2.5 years old, 2 to 2.5 years old. Everyone was eating. I think the child was not interested in eating, but the child was given a mobile and the child was watching the mobile, and everybody was enjoying their food, and the child was kept busy in this manner. As you rightly said, it was a pathetic sight, because for your own enjoyment,
yes,
you are really
absolutely
just addicting the child to a mobile, which
yes, very true.
Yeah.
Mothers will, I have gone to my sudden visit I give to the parents' house. Mothers are busy with the neighbors chatting and the child is on the mobile.
Yeah, it's very bad. And then if you question, if you see and you question, they say, no, the child doesn't eat if he is not watching something. The child doesn't eat.
This is very common nowadays, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
That my child needs a mobile to eat his food, which is very wrong.
Yes, yes. Very, very sad. But
yes,
that
very, very sad. I tell you, these 3 children who have come to me now, after giving them occupation therapy and doing a lot of physical exercises, they are not touching the mobile. And because of the mobile, the child used to type numbers. See, he knows numbers very well now. Now, doctor said he is partially with autism, but every auto numbers, when he is passing by, do it quickly, he knows it. But now no mobile, but now he's reduced. Otherwise, he would just start screaming for the mobile. But now being in school, he's just giving it up, all these habits now.
Yeah, it's very difficult to take the mobile from them, but yes.
Yeah, but parents should understand that now this is really getting worse day by day.
Yes.
Ma'am, sorry to intervene here. I would like to give one suggestion here, that this session would be very, very helpful even if parents will also attend, because it is very important for parents to understand this. Because what happens, as a parent, I have a child of 5 years, I'm a mother of a 5 year. So when we have a family get together or friends get together, when they all come up with their children or family get together, where the children are being given phone. Okay, so they do not meet with each other, they do not mix with each other, they do not play with each other. And whereas when I refuse to give phone to my son, then he tells me, you are the only mother who is not giving me phone, whereas rest everybody is having their phone in their hand. So you are very bad, you are this, you are that. So it is very important to have such sessions, ma'am. I would really appreciate if you could conduct such very informative session for parents, because it is very important before the child understand the consequences of these mobile phones. It is very important for parents to first understand, because these are kids, they won't understand how it is impacting. So it is for parents first to come to know, because I'm being an educator, because we see children and we do attend such workshops, and when we see outside in schools or maybe various places, so we are no aware of such things, but then not everybody is aware of this scenario.
Very true. That is why my first teaching to the parents is, not to my students, first to the parents is, take care of your child in the true sense. Understand your child, he can become something in life. And don't give up. Just by giving mobile, you think you all are very proud that, oh, my child at this age is using mobile. Some of the parents did tell me, oh, my child uses mobile very well. I said, don't be too proud of this. The same mobile will give trouble later on when his studies start. So please give it up. And so then they really understand. And very true, as you said, parents should understand the children. And only then it becomes very well. And I always tell them one thing. You may be the busiest parent in the world, but spend at least 10 minutes with your child, talking to him, not about studies, anything, something that you are going to do, something new in the house, or that what happened while you were traveling. Just discuss with your child. That is why I said, you don't need it that the child has disabled, so I need to talk. With any child, spend quality 10 minutes time with your child. It's very important.
Thank you, ma'am. Archana, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think I think you joined a little later than when I started, because my beginning itself, I said this session is a little different, because when the invite was sent, schools were requested, the principals, the teachers were requested to share the link with the parents so that it could benefit them. And that is why I asked in the beginning, how many of you are there who are not educated?
Not an educator. Ma'am, I was there. I joined the session at 4:50. I joined session at 4:50 p.m. itself. I was there and I heard this. But then nobody said so that I am not an educator. I'm just a parent.
Yes,
there was no response.
Nobody
So you
said
said
that.
so that means everybody is an educator. That is
For
why I
us to
said,
reach parents, for us to reach parents on a webinar, we have to reach them through the school. And that is why a special request was made to everybody. Please share it, because this is the first time in all, we have started our Tuesday webinars from 2021, and this is the first time we wanted it to reach the parents, because the topic was something that would really, really help them. And if some of them, see, all of us are parents, but parents who are non-educators. So if some of them are there in our audience and did not want to mention that, thank you for being with us today, because this session would have really helped you a lot. Anybody has any other query or anything to share?
Most welcome.
Okay. Uma, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. At the outset, let me sincerely thank Lata ma'am for a very engaging and a very useful session for educators, parents, as well as students. It was a very useful session. Thank you so much. And in detail, even as an educator, those who are unaware of how to diagnose a child disability will be surely able to diagnose in future, I'm sure, after attending this session. Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful session.
Most welcome. And I would like to add one thing here. In your schools, you all can have a real strong team before giving admission to a child with disability. So then it helps the child also, as well as the school will also benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you to all the educators, parents, and special thanks to Ambuja ma'am, Archana ma'am, Pascal sir, Manjusha Nair ma'am for wonderful participation in this session. And I thank Dr. Suresh Nair and Deepa Desai ma'am for giving me this opportunity to host the webinar. Thank you, Sai Sudha ma'am. Thank you, Lata ma'am.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks for
I would
inviting
just like
and
to
sharing
add
my
little more thanks
knowledge.
to this. I would just like to add little more thanks. Thank you, Uma ma'am, for, as usual, conducting the webinar wonderfully.
My
And
pleasure.
I must thank Sadhna ma'am, Sadhna Srivastava ma'am. A very, very big thank you to you, ma'am, because
Thank you, ma'am.
because of you, we could get Lata ma'am. So a big thank you to you, Sadhna ma'am.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot. I'm always there for CRDE.
I'm aware, but yet a big thank you. Okay, then. Once again, thank you, Lata ma'am. It has been wonderful
Most welcome.
having you. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.